Are you a beginner trying to navigate the world of fitness, but you're getting overwhelmed by all the conflicting information out there? Well, you're not alone. In today's video, we're going to be debunking 5 fitness myths that every gym beginner falls for. Get ready to separate fact from fiction and save yourself from wasting time on ineffective practices. I myself have personally fallen for these when I first started lifting, and today we're going to be debunking them with evidence to prove it. Science proves that our bodies are able to make a great amount of improvement right when we start exercising. Therefore, knowing that these 5 statements are actually myths will help you optimize your training and avoid common pitfalls that many people fall for. Now, without wasting any more time, let's jump into myth number 1, which is if I'm not sore, I didn't train hard enough. This was something that I thought for many years, and it wasn't until I took an exercise science course that I learned this actually wasn't true. When you initially start exercising, you're almost guaranteed to be sore the following days because you're introducing positive stress to the body that it's just not used to. This phenomenon is known as DOMS, which stands for delayed onset muscle soreness. DOMS normally starts 24 to 48 hours following a workout, and this phenomenon will be much more common and intense in beginners. However, your central nervous system is really good at adapting to different exercises and activities, so as you continue to be consistent, the sensitivity and intensity of DOMS will continuously decrease. Because of this, a lot of lifters, both experienced and relatively new, start chasing after DOMS. I can almost guarantee that you've heard the saying, no pain, no gain, but this is a really dangerous mindset to have. The sensation of DOMS isn't necessarily required for muscle growth, contrary to popular belief. If you're properly progressing your load or resistance using progressive overload, this will slowly expose your body to increased stress in a safe and effective manner, which will further decrease that DOM sensation that we've been discussing. What's the takeaway at this point? If you're continuously progressing and challenging yourself, but you're not feeling too much soreness, it's okay, you're gonna continue to make progress. Now, let's jump into myth number 2, which is you need to stretch before a workout. Now let me explain, this is actually 100% true. And you're probably sitting there thinking, then what the heck makes this a myth? The myth that most people fall for is that you need to do static stretching before you work out. And this is a huge mistake. Research has consistently shown that dynamic stretching is superior between the two when it comes to properly warming up. But before we continue, let's take a step backwards and define what static stretching and dynamic stretching is. Static stretching is when you perform a stretch when you're not moving. A great example of these is the stereotypical hamstring stretch where you touch your toes that we've all done before. Dynamic stretching is when you're elongating a muscle while it's moving, without holding the muscle in a lengthened position for an extended period of time. An example to visualize this is doing leg swings before a leg day workout. There have been an extensive number of studies conducted on this topic, evaluating the risks and benefits prior to exercise. And time again, dynamic stretching always wins. Studies show that static stretching prior to exercise leads to a decrease in strength, an increase in the likelihood of injury, and it actually impedes your overall performance. A study done in 2013 noted that static stretching induces significant and practically relevant negative acute effects on maximal muscle strength and explosive muscle performance, regardless of the subject's age, gender, or training status. So because of these reasons, dynamic stretching is superior. Be sure to perform dynamic stretching before the workout, and static stretching is great to do afterwards. Jumping into myth number 3, there's the common belief that you need to lift heavy weights if you want to build muscle. Now please hear me out on this one. Challenging yourself and lifting at a higher intensity is definitely required if you actually want to see muscle growth. However, you cannot sacrifice your form just to increase the resistance. This is where ego lifting comes into play. I think we can all picture that one person at the gym doing bicep curls way heavier than they should be, using momentum just to get the weight up. Now you will still work the biceps to some degree, but the amount that they're working is significantly decreased because you're gonna recruit way more muscles to help with the movement. And not to mention, it increases your risk of injury drastically. This principle is true with all exercises, and it's especially important if you're a beginner. So make sure you focus on form, prioritize doing it properly, and you're gonna get more out of any exercise that you perform. Now jumping into myth number 4, it states more exercise is better. Now this one I really fell for when I was a novice lifter because I would hear stories of people saying they would lift for 4 to 5 hour sessions, and I figured, hey, they're doing more than I am, so they must be getting better results. When you're consistently lifting at such a high volume, it's gonna lead to overtraining. Overtraining results in longer recovery times, prolonged DOMS, and acute injuries. In reality, optimal exercise is better. The thing with exercise is that the intensity of any workout matters more than the duration of any workout. Pushing yourself and using well-constructed programs will result in safer workouts, better time management, and better results. And lastly, for myth number 5, it's I can lose belly fat if I do ab exercises. And this myth is the theory of spot reduction. This is one of my biggest pet peeves when it comes to the fitness community, but I'm kind of ashamed to say it, I fell for this too when I first started lifting. You hear people say all the time, do this ab workout to shred belly fat. If you ever go to a personal trainer and you hear that statement, or they say spot reduction is possible, please do yourself a favor and find a new trainer. According to ACE, spot reduction doesn't work. Fat loss is going to happen globally. And if you really want to burn fat, you need to do compound exercises. And a few examples are going to be squats, pull-ups, and overhead press. So now that you know that spot reduction isn't possible, please don't fall for any clickbait titles talking about spot reduction in the future. And now that we finished discussing the 5 common gym myths that many people tend to fall for, you know what pitfalls you need to avoid. It's going to take your training so much further. And if you do want to learn more about fat loss, not spot reduction, click this video now where I go over the best strategies to actually lose fat.